We're recording now.
Awesome. That sounds great. All right, so why don't we we got the PowerPoint up there. We're sharing the screen. And so today we're talking about planning, preparing, and producing, and how when we do that, we can expect to win. And I'm going to be interviewing Tom because he's been doing this for a long time. His dad used to teach us a lot. And I know you've even got a special presentation that you talk about this content in. So I get to have fun with Tom because he has no idea what I'm going to ask him. So.
Yes, I don't. And the other thing, too, I wanted to say, I don't know how good the video is, but you'll notice that I'm not quite clean shaven. And that's because my bag didn't make it with me. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. So, but I just talked to Chachis, and my bag is at home. So my shaving kit and everything is there. So we're excited that you're here. Look, there's somebody from South Africa.
Wow.
And there's Michelle from Hershey. Hey, we're glad that you're here.
Awesome.
And so, David, why don't we go ahead and get rocking and rolling here.
All right. Sounds good. And we've already talked about who's here with us. And so Tom's our world traveler. And we've just talked about a little bit about what we're going to cover today, the 3 key concepts to winning. And so, Tom, there was a question someone sent in. Well, before we do that, now we're going to do that. I mentioned we're going to do the polling. And guys, there's our first question. I hope you see that on your screen there. Do you have the skills and knowledge to plan, prepare, and produce winning results? And all I'd like you to do is click yes or no on that, and let us know that. And let me launch poll down here is probably what I need to do. So there we go. Now we're in progress. And so just start clicking on that, yes or no, and let us know what you think about that question. Tom, while they're doing that, let me ask you a question. We got a question in via email from someone, and I believe they're on the webinar today. But their question was this: how do I plan and prepare when I currently live on food stamps and public assistance? I really want to leave this lifestyle. So I know you had a story when you were overseas that you shared with me, and why don't you share that with everyone right now?
You bet. I was in Papua New Guinea, Port Moresby, which is the main city there, and Ongo. Ongo is one of our Ziegler Legacy certified trainers, and he's there in PNG, Papua New Guinea, and he invited me over. We did a 2-day program there. And before the program started, the day before, as a matter of fact, we were going to the radio station, and we're driving there. And if you know anything about Papua New Guinea, it's a beautiful country, amazing people, but it is coming out. You know, their economic future is ahead of them. I think they might still be considered third world country because it's just, they've got nice cities and infrastructure there, but outside of that, it's still very rural. They're still under development. And we're riding to the radio station, and they have all these people selling things on the side of the road. I don't know if you've ever been there on the side of the road, and they were coming up to the car, and this little boy comes up, and I don't know how old he was, maybe 7, maybe 8, maybe 9 years old. And owner says, "Did you buy any peanuts there?" Hi. I think you read the newsletter today. So this little boy comes up, and he's got something in his hand, and he's waving it at the car that we're in. And I didn't know what it was until he got closer, and then I could see that he had peanuts in his hands, and he was selling peanuts. And I think he was probably 7, 8 years old. And then I had chills kind of run down my spine because 80 years ago, actually 84 years ago, that same exact scene unfolded in Yazoo City, Mississippi. You see, my dad's father died when Dad was 5. And of course, many of you know the story. Dad was the 10th of 12 children. His mom had a 5th grade education, and so he was raised by a single mom with a 5th grade education in the heart of the Great Depression. And Dad started selling peanuts on the corner when he was 6 years old.
Wow.
And so when I see somebody who starts from really a position of almost nothing, I mean, Papua New Guinea is rich in natural resources. They have food and fish, and everybody there has enough to eat. But other than that, it's a place that the economic future is ahead of them. And I started thinking, you know, when I see a little boy like that, even in a country that hasn't, you know, had the blessings that we've had here in the U.S. and many other countries have had, I think, you know what? It doesn't matter where you start. It only matters where you finish.
That's right.
And so when somebody writes in and they say, hey, you know what, I'm on welfare, I'm on food stamps, I've had a tough go at it, you know, maybe the circumstances have knocked you down. I just want you to know it doesn't matter where you start. You have access to knowledge and information, and every single day you can build yourself. You can do something today that will improve your life personally, in your family life, in your professional life, in your spiritual life, in your physical, everything that makes up your components of your life. You can do something every day. That's a choice. You can choose the information you take in. You can choose the actions that you take. And so I see that little boy and I think, you know what, he's selling peanuts today, but that's going to teach him how to communicate with other people. And then maybe he'll get a little bit better sales job. You know, maybe he'll get a sales job with the grocery store, or like Dad did, selling cookware door to door, where he knocked on doors to sell things that were needed in the home. And then you learn sales skills, he learned how to communicate even better. And from that, he got educated. He got more information. He sold so many different things in his life, like insurance and, you know, different vehicles. And then he realized that in sales, it's important to have sales skills for sure, but it's even more important who you are as a person.
Wow.
So we can work on our attitude, we can work on our character, we can work on our work ethic, our discipline. We can do those every day. It doesn't require an income to work on all those things. We can start learning and start using. And as long as every day we do a little bit more than the day before, we learn a little bit extra, and we keep expanding our horizons, then we can really control our destiny. So that's the Papua New Guinea peanut story. I just literally, when I saw that little boy, I thought, you know what, Dad, 84 years ago, because Dad turned 90. He would have been 90 years old on November 6th.
Wow.
So 84 years ago in Yazoo City, Mississippi, he was selling peanuts on the street corner. So wherever you are in the world, there you go. And they said, did you buy any peanuts? We didn't buy any peanuts because the light changed and we went on. I do have one regret, though. I wish I'd been able to capture a picture of this little boy and talk to him. But by the time we had that chance, it was too late.
Awesome. So just looking at our poll here, guys, it looks like, what is that, Tom? 57%, I believe, say that, yes, they do believe they have the skills and knowledge to plan and prepare.
62%, 57 people.
Oh, 62%, I'm reading that backwards. And then 38% say they need to work on that. They don't have those skills and knowledge yet. So hopefully we can help you with that today and ongoing. So Tom, let me just close that out.
Oh, share results, yeah. Hey guys, this is a new platform for us, so
boom,
we're sharing the results. There you go.
There they are, 62 and 38. So that's what everybody said today. So hopefully as we move forward, we can give you some answers and some things to do, some ideas to do to start working on that. Okay, let's close that out. And Tom, let's get going here. Now, Tom, I've heard you talk about this some before, but I'd just like you to share with us. This is one of your quotes: dreams are the edges of the puzzle of your life. Can you tell us what you mean by that?
Yeah. One of the things, you know, that I like to say about myself, and somebody coached me on this and said I should change the language. In fact, Rick Racine, who's one of our Ziegler Legacy certified trainers, when we were doing that class, the last class that he came through,
yep.
Was that July? No, September.
September. Yes.
September he came through. My mind is still, I think it's in the Pacific Ocean somewhere because of the time difference. I have this acronym that I call, or this word that I call myself, and he said, no, Tom, don't call yourself that. Call yourself an intellectual engineer. And so for everybody listening, if this is your first time hearing me, I'm an intellectual engineer. All the personality profiles, all the definitions, everything. I love quotes like this. Now, if you look up intellectual engineer, if you look it up on Google, you go to the dictionary, or any of those places, what you'll find is the definition, and there's an acronym for this word. Intellectual engineer, the acronym is NERD. That's pretty good, isn't it?
That's good.
Stands for nerd. And so this is one of my nerdier quotes. I kind of like it. Dreams are the edges of the puzzle of your life. How many of you have ever done a tabletop puzzle? You know, one of those old-fashioned puzzles where you take that puzzle and you dump it out and you turn it all over. Well, where do you start on the puzzle? Well, you start on the edges, right? A lot of times we find the corners first, we put the edges in, and then we start separating the color pieces or the puzzle pieces by color, or maybe there's some designs that are in unique parts of it, and then we fill it in. And we work when we do the puzzle, we work from the outside in. You know, right. we do that. Our life is the same way. We either go through life wandering around aimlessly. I call those people zombies, you know, people who are circumstances are pushing them from one to the other. Or what we do is we identify a dream or a goal that we really, really want, something that we want to accomplish in our life. And so when I say dreams are the edges of the puzzle of our life, when we start writing down dreams and then turning them into goals, those form the edges of our puzzle. And in the center of our puzzle is our experience, all the knowledge that we've intaken, that have come into us, our circumstances that have shaped us, the people who have spoken into us. These are the cornerstone, our character qualities, our personality traits, everything we've learned. That's kind of the center of the puzzle. And the edge of the puzzle is our dream, where we want to go. Now, the reason this is important to understand is that our brain, remember, I'm an intellectual engineer. The way our brain works is that when we sleep, our brain can go in 1,000 different directions. But if we have a dream that we've written down into a goal, what happens when we fall asleep is that we start at the core of who we are, and our brain starts putting the puzzle pieces in, to where we start connecting the puzzle pieces all the way out to the edge. Wow. There was another example that I read in a book by Stephen Fry the book was called True Freedom. And the example he gave in there is these behavioral psychologists, they went to this elementary school with a bunch of kids going to school there, and the school was a brand new building. Everything was done, everything was finished, except for on the first day of school. They did not have the playground fence put in. So the playground was there, but the fence was not put in. And so these behavioral psychologists, they wanted to see how the kids would use all the space. So you know how playgrounds are made at these elementary schools that cater to kids 6 to 12 years old. The way the playground is engineered is when you go out the door, they have kind of a concrete area with the playground equipment right next to the school building. So in case it's muddy outside, the kids can still play without getting their shoes muddy. And then the field where they play football and tag and soccer and everything else is just beyond that, but there was no fence around it. So the first week, every time the kids go out to play on the playground, they all just stand and stay right on the hard top, right next to the playground equipment. Then over the weekend, they put the fence around, and then when they came out on the next Monday morning, the kids used all that space. So the first week, they had access to everything, and they only used 10% of the space. On Monday after the first week, when they put in the fence, the kids used 100% of the play space. They started playing tag and football and catch. So what are we saying is the border, the edge, the fence gave them security to go and conquer and use all their territory. Wow. So dreams are the same way. So when we talk about plan, prepare, and produce, to me, it starts with the dream. It starts with where do we want to go? What is it? Who do we want to become? What are the big things in life? And then our mind starts putting the pieces from where we are to where we want to go together.
Wow. So let me ask you this, Tom. This is a little side note here, but can we practice dreaming?
Oh, yeah. I mean, people call it visualization. They call it, I say the best dreams occur when your eyes are wide open.
Wow. That's a great quote, guys. Use that.
Yeah, and I'm probably quoting somebody else, but the best dreams occur when your eyes are wide open. On a goal-setting quote that I love, Dad said this. He said, if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. And I do this exercise. I did this in Singapore, and the people in Singapore, they're very amazing, but they're pretty reserved. And I did the little sample. I said, okay, I'm going to ask you to do something, and I want you to pay very careful attention to it. Okay, everybody, raise your hand as high as you can. And so everybody raises their hand as high as they can. And then I say, okay, now everybody raise your hand just a little bit higher. And of course, everybody stands up and they get on their tippy toes and they get a little bit higher. And what I just said is that, pay very careful attention. And boom, there you go. They were paying attention, but they could still go a little bit further.
Wow.
Because if I say raise your hands as high as you can, you'll do it. But then I say raise it higher, everybody does it a little bit more. And so can you practice dreaming? Absolutely. And so one of the great ways to dream that I like is, think of something that you really want. For me, it's like a dream home. And I practice, and I do this visually when I work with groups. I'll say I'm sitting in my office in my dream home, and I'll start building out the office, and I'll have a little trout stream running outside of it because my dream home's in the mountains, by the way. It's not built yet, but that's where it's going to be. And I can hear the stream running, and I can smell the pine trees, and I can see the mountains, and so I get it all involved. So practicing dreaming is fantastic.
That's awesome. All right, so let me ask you this. We had one of our young ladies that is a follower of Ziglar asked this question. Said, "How do I? So plans, dreams, I'm stuck. How do I even begin?" And so what do you say to that? What's the beginning of this for our planning, preparing? Is dreams the beginning, or what do you say about that?
Well, one of the things that we teach is that we create what we call a dream sheet.
Okay.
And the dream sheet is everything I've ever wanted to be, do, or have. So who do I want to become? When I say everything I've ever wanted to be, do, or have, who do I want to become? So I identify my character qualities, I identify my reputation, what I'm known for, the things that I can develop within myself. Maybe there's professional degrees that I want to earn, those kind of things. And then everything I want to do. So doing could be, traveling, it could be a specific career, it could be owning my own business. I want to, what is it that I want to do? And then these are the things that we can acquire. I want to have great health. I want to have great relationships. I want to have a dream home. I want to drive this kind of car. And so we write down everything we've ever wanted to be, do, or have. And then we go through a process of turning those dreams, and we ask ourselves a series of questions around those dreams so that we really know that they're ours and that we can answer specifically, why do I want that? There are things that I've written down that I'm like, oh, that's nice. And then when I try to figure out, okay, why do I want it? I realize, oh, wait, I don't know why I want that. If you can't write down why you want it and articulate it, then you take it off the list. And then sometimes we write things down that they're not our dream or our goal to begin with. They're somebody else's. And so we have a whole process by how we do that. And so that's how we get, for our dreams into goals or plans.
That's awesome. Thanks for asking that question too. And let me ask you this, Tom. I know all the time you talk about plan to be. Mm-hmm. And so why is it important that knowing who we want to be or become, why is that important part of planning?
I think it's actually the most important part of planning. When we say plan to be, the reality is that so many people are what I call circumstance driven. In other words, the circumstances determine who they are. This is the job I'm going to take because it was referred to me by a family member. And, even though I really have no interest in doing that, it's the easiest path to paying my bills. That's a much different decision-making process than somebody who says, this is who I am. These are the character qualities I'm known for. These are the things that I can see myself doing in the future. This is the reputation and the legacy that I want to leave. When people talk about me behind my back, this is what I want them to say. And so what I do is I start writing down how I'm going to become that person I plan to be. We are in survival mode until we know who we want to become. And so I say we've got to determine who we want to become. Because if once I know that, this is the type of career that I want to have, or this is the type of person that I want to become, then anything will do. And we do not have success like we should when we let everybody else decide who we are. As soon as we say, nope, that's the direction I'm going in, then we start making much better, more clearly defined decisions in that process.
So what I hear you saying is, number one, we need to do a dream sheet, just write down everything we're dreaming about that we possibly want in life or could want to be or become. And then we need to know why that is important. Why do we want to be that person or become that person? And so that we get focused. We're not just reactionary. Now we're getting focused so we can plan from a better perspective. Is that what I'm hearing you say, Tom?
Yeah. And I'll give an example. I was coaching an individual, and he was very successful, and he's in his early 30s. Financially, what I mean is he's very successful. He's definitely made a lot of money. And he says to me, Tom, I think I need to go out and I need to find a lady. He wanted to find a relationship. So here's a man who had invested all of his time in a financial return, and he's got it in spades, but he's neglected all relationships in the process. Not too many friends, definitely not any women friends, but he hadn't even invested the time to go out and date. And I said, well, that's great. Tell me, who is it that you're looking for? And he'd done a really good thing. He had a list of everything he was hoping to find in a woman. And it was awesome. It was like, I want to be intelligent and smart and funny, and I want them to have character. These are the character qualities. Here's the type of family that I want them to, to want, is compatibility. So he had this whole list, and he looked at me after he read it, and he said, Tom, I think I've just described a unicorn. And then he goes, how do you catch a unicorn? And I said, oh, it's easy to catch a unicorn. If you want to catch a unicorn, you become a unicorn. And so when you describe your dream job or career or position in the community, whatever it is, then you step back and you say, okay, what kind of character attributes do I need to develop in myself to be able to handle that? Because here's the other side of that. You see, if he develops that, all those character qualities that he talks about that he wants in a woman, if he develops those within himself, then he's going to attract that kind of person. That's why when you hear about people who are struggling financially and then win the lottery, within 1 to 2 years, all the money's gone. It almost doesn't matter how much money it is, because you see, they're not the kind of person from a quality perspective, from character quality points, that can handle that kind of money.
Wow.
They don't believe in their mind that they deserve it, that they're worth it. And so the way you move from, this is what I plan when we move into that preparation stage, then we become the kind of person who has that.
All right, so let me ask you this. What are the 4 or 5 key things we need to identify in a plan?
Wow, I hope you got the answer to that question. Here's a question that just came in. What happens if I always dream if I dream that always fails, I'm not planning properly? Well, that's a good point. It could be that, and I'll go back to another example, is this young salesman that came up to me, brand new in sales, had no money, and he's at the product table and he says, Tom, I've only got enough money. Do I invest it in this sales training program that'll teach me how to sell more? Or do I invest this money in this personal development program? Because one of them is specific to sales, and I'm in sales, I need that. But this other one is foundational. I mean, it's all about personal development. I have none of Zig's stuff. Which one should I get? Well, this was over 20 years ago, and Dad was standing by. So I said, hey, Dad, what do you think? Should he get the sales skills, or should he get the personal development program? And Dad turned around to me and he said, oh, that's easy. He needs to get the personal development program. And I said, well, why is that? I knew the answer, but I wanted him to hear it. And Dad said, oh, it's real simple. You can put all the right skills on the wrong person and doesn't do any job. So that question there, is it the wrong dream? I'm never getting my dream. Is it because I don't know how to plan? And so my question is really a two-pronged. The answer might be, you might not know how to plan. You might not have these specific skills of planning to define how to get there, the action steps. But you also, it might be more foundational that your mindset, your attitude, your self-belief, the character qualities that you have may not be developed enough to support whatever plan you put on top of it. And so it's very hard to say, only become the right person or only do planning. You actually have to do both. But I can tell you, if you have to pick between the two,
right, when
you become the right person, the planning takes care of itself, because once you have those qualities within you, then the planning starts. So can't remember what your question was, but the number one thing in planning is you identify what you want to become first, and then you identify, okay, what do you need to grow internally in order to become that? And then you start lining out the plan itself. What are the, one of the big ones is you got to have the benefits. If I achieve this objective,
right,
what are the benefits of me achieving it? And you better write down a whole bunch of benefits, because it takes a lot of work to move from, okay, this is my thought and my idea, to actually achieving it. And so you're going to get obstacles along the way. So if you have a lot of benefits, I'll give you an example. You want to lose 30 pounds. There are probably more than 100 benefits to being the right weight. You feel better, your medical costs go down, you live longer, you have more energy, you have more clarity and focus on the other things that you want to accomplish. If you have kids or grandkids, you can spend more time with them. Life is just better. You feel better. I mean, there's so many things. Well, you need to write that whole list of benefits down and keep it handy, because when the cheesecake walks by and you're picking between the cheesecake, what you want now, and these feelings of these health benefits and everything else, which are more long-term, the more benefits you have, the more likely you are to stick with it.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
So you write it down in detail, you determine why you want it, you clearly understand the benefits of achieving it, and then you start looking at, okay, what are the obstacles that I have to overcome?
Yes.
Okay, well, I haven't had success in the past on losing weight. Why is that? Well, maybe you need to get the junk food out of the house. Maybe you need to get your wife or your partner or your spouse involved in helping you with this plan. Maybe you need to look at your schedule because you're so busy you don't have time to work out. Maybe you put your workouts in first. So you start looking at the obstacles that you've got to overcome in order to be there. Then you look at the knowledge or skills you've got to acquire if you don't have them. What is it that I need that I don't know how to do? Do I have a trainer? Did my doctor or nutritionist give me a food plan? Whatever, am I sleeping enough? What are the knowledge I need to acquire in order to give me the best chance of winning? And then what? Who do I need to contact? Who else can help me in this?
Yes.
And then you put the plan of action, which is the step 6 of that.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, one of the things I use along with that all the time, so I'll ask myself those 6 questions based on why, who, what, when, where, and how, and then obstacles and benefits, And so that's a powerful process, guys, to use what Tom did a great job of answering that question. And if I know we're going to have a replay of this for everybody who's on today, so go back and capture those steps he just talked about, because that will help you immensely in your planning. So Tom, let's move on.
We got a couple of questions.
Oh, okay. What are those?
Let's see. This lady asks, mother of 2, just started on savings, 45. I don't feel I have the luxury of having a career that I'm passionate about. How do you walk away from a very nice income to find something meaningful, which more than likely will cut my income in half? Well, I've got some good news for you, because I've got a couple of ways to answer that. The first one is this. there's the who, the what, and the why, or the why. I'm sorry, the why, the what, and the how.
Yeah.
Why, what, and how. And when it comes to careers and what we do in life, a lot of people pay too much attention to the what they do and not enough to the why and the how. Now, it's what you do is important, but I can tell you that whatever career is out there, when I look at people doing different jobs, different types of jobs, man, I give the same amount of value to all of them because it is honest living, wages earned honestly. And that has incredible value. And I think we all should feel good about whatever career or job that we have. Is it the perfect fit for who you are? Well, it may not be, but this is what I want you to think about. Clearly identify your why. Howard Partridge, our small business coach that we work with all the time, says this: the one and only reason that your business exists is it's to be a vehicle to help you achieve your life goals. So think of this: your career, the only reason that your career exists is it's a vehicle to help you achieve your life goals. And so your career right now is funding whatever your life goals are. Now, how do you make your career or your business meaningful? It's the why you do it and the how you do it. When you change how you do your career, then you can find far more meaning in that. You can change people's lives. You can interact with people in the process of achieving your why. So we can get more meaning out of what we do every day. So that's the first question, is oftentimes we discount what we're doing because we don't think it adds value, and yet people cross our paths every single day. And we can change their life right where we are. We can build an organization right where we are by how we interact with people. Now, the second piece to that question is this: we plan for our dream job, and we don't leave our existing job until our dream job is already created. So what do I mean by that? It's kind of like that illustration, David, of you're on the dock and you want to get in the boat. But the problem is the boat's the new career and the dock is your source of income today. Right. And so what we do is we want to step onto the boat, and you can just kind of see the boat leaving the shore, and we've got 1 foot on shore and 1 foot on the boat. We don't want to step into that boat until we know that the boat can sail. So we invest time and energy. Maybe we have a side job. Maybe we start saving enormously to make the new job where we're going practical. I will trade money for happiness all day long. And so when you talk about a less income where you're going, I would challenge that. I would bet that there are some careers that we think the income's lower, but if you become the best of it, it's actually going to be an increase. Why not start while I think it's, I'll think of his name in a minute. It's called John Acuff in the book Start. He says, by the way, John Acuff, Start, that's a great book if you're looking for it. He says, create your dream job while you have your day job. And so there's a lot of strategies to do that. But if you focus on the why and the how while you're in the position you're in, the what will get more and more interesting. So 2 answers there.
That's good. I think you got one more question. Let's look at that and then we'll move on.
Time-wise, what is the typical time or effort allocation for the, is that the plan?
Yeah.
And what niches we need to invest more than 50% of the plan? I'm not sure if I understand completely what you're saying there, Hussein, but typically it does take 10 to 20 hours to really identify our dreams, turn them into goals, and create plans. It takes a lot of energy in the very beginning, but after that, you'll save 4 to 10 hours a week in time. And we really recommend that in a goal-setting system or in a planning system, you're in your plans 6 to 10 minutes a day. So there's not a lot of allocation reviewing your plans. Now, working on them, like if your goal is to lose weight, that might be working out 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. So you've got some time there, But every goal, every plan takes different amounts of time to do that. So
awesome. All right, let's go on to our next slide, and that is prepare to do, Tom. And let's look at our polling. Let's see. I think we've got another question here. Yeah. What is holding you? Who is holding you responsible and accountable for your goals? And so, guys, if we just launch this, where's my little arrow there? There you go. If you'll just start answering that, guys, who is holding you responsible or accountable for your goals? And so, either you've got a friend or maybe a life coach or no one. We've all got somebody or nobody in our life that can do that. And so, Tom, while we're doing that, let me ask you this. Why is preparation so important to implementing and carrying out a plan? You know, the steps you just identified for us to take. Why is the preparation part so important to seeing that come to pass?
Well, one of the things, and I've just started talking more about this, one of the things that I'll just give my dad as an example.
Okay.
When he would speak, and, you know, nobody lit up a stage more than Zig Ziglar. He, you know, probably one of the greatest speakers who ever walked the stage. His peers would say the same thing about him. In fact, if you read bios of many of the great speakers out there, they will compare themselves to Zig Ziglar. You know, I'm in the Zig Ziglar vein or whatever. What they're really saying is, you know what, Zig was amazing. He did it all. He spoke with enthusiasm. He delivered content. He inspired. He gave a promise and a plan. That's all amazing stuff. But here's the interesting thing about preparing to do, or the implementation of the plan, is you see Dad, he never evaluated his success on stage from the results of the room.
Wow.
In other words, he was not there for the audience to make them laugh and you know, standing ovation and applause and all that. That's not why he spoke. That's not how he measured whether it was successful or not. What he measured his own success from was, did I plan and prepare everything that I could do? Did I do everything I could do to present this talk as best as possible? And so when we talk about the importance of preparing, what we're really doing is we're giving ourselves the confidence that no matter what the results are, we have put ourselves in a position to win. Because life happens. I mean, circumstances go about. And if we totally base our life on the result, you know, if I get a great result, I win. And if I get a horrible result, I lose. Then we're on this roller coaster all the time. There's no stability. But if I base my life and the success of things on the things that I can control, which is my attitude and which is my effort and which is the skills that I learn, when I base my life on the preparation, not only does my chance of winning go up, but no matter what happens, my bounce back ability is 10 times higher. There's nothing more frustrating than seeing, well, it's like on American Idol. You know, if you've ever seen the auditions,
yeah,
you know, 95% of the people who audition have no business auditioning for two reasons. Some of them don't have any talent, but a lot of them never prepared. Right? They just go in there thinking they can win it. And so what we've got to make sure that we do, one of the greatest lessons of preparation, is it gives us the confidence that when we get into the game, when we go and make the presentation, when we go and make the sale, when we go and ask for the order, when we launch that new business, if we've done the planning and the preparing, not only does our likelihood of success go up because we've done all that work, but our self-belief and our confidence goes up as well. And I'm not sure I answered.
No, you did. That was great. In fact, you just reminded me of a quote, Alexander Graham Bell, who invented the telephone, and he said this: before anything else, preparation is the key to success.
Right.
So a follow-up question would be to you is, how do you prepare? Do you have a process you use, or is it just kind of, you know, in the flow or in the moment, or how do you do that?
I have several processes. I have a daily routine that I do. My daily routine is I get up very early. And my get up early means 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Wow.
And I go through a devotional time, kind of a quiet time where I start thinking about, the spiritual things of life. And I'm not here to say, golly, I spend hours on that. It's not that long of a time, but that's the first thing I do. And then the second thing that I do is I look at the big projects for the day, the things that I want to accomplish. And then the third thing that I do is I get into the detail, and this might be returning email and things like that. And so I have this time capsule that I invest in every day. It's about a 2-hour process to go all the way through that. And I do it before the rest of the people in the world wake up. And it gives me that head start on the day. And it allows me to put the first things first. A lot of times we have this big dream or this goal that we want to achieve, and we always are planning to get to it after all the little things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the same way. If I sleep in, if I don't get started until 7 or 7:30, guess what? My big dreams and goals, they get put aside as well, because the world, it clouds it out. It gets in the way. And so that's how my preparing process goes, is I dedicate time to that. Now, I noticed on the poll there, 80% have no one holding them accountable. 8%, 5 have a life coach, and 15% have a friend.
Wow.
And so when I think of that, here's what we know. We can, we might as well copy the best. So they did a survey of the people who actually, they call them goal achievers. So they'll take a dream and they'll write a goal down and then they'll achieve it. Goal achievers do 3 things. They write the goal down in detail. They go through those steps that we talked about earlier. Number 2 is they work on them every day. And when I say work on them every day, that means they review it every day and they take some action towards it. It doesn't mean they're spending 3 hours a day on a specific goal every single day, but it does mean that every day they refresh their mind. That's my goal. Oh, I could do this today. I've got 5 minutes. I got 10 minutes. And then the third thing that they have is an accountability partner. So right there, 80% of the people on this poll we're sharing it already.
Yeah, we're sharing.
80% of you, if you just wanted to get more results, that's all you got to do is write it down in detail, work on it every day, and get an accountability partner. And I can tell you that an accountability partner is the differentiator between almost anything and everything that people do. When you know that somebody is going to follow up and say, did you move the bucket? Did you move it forward? Did you do what you said? You said that you're going to work out 3 times this week. Did you do it? And when you have to answer to somebody, that changes everything. We got a couple of questions in here. How do I make my why big enough or strong enough to make me become passionate enough to take massive action?
Wow. Great question.
And I have to ask, what's important to you? What is it that makes your heart sing? If you have kids, are they important to you? Are they like the number one thing in your life? Or your family? Maybe you want to leave a legacy. So here's the cool thing. Usually, what we want to accomplish from a financial perspective, when done the right way, will also allow us to leave a legacy and to provide for our family when it's done the right way. And so how do we marry those 2 things together? I know for me that when I think of my daughter and my wife, if I live a life as an example of character and integrity, when I do that in a public format, then I am creating a legacy for them, just like my dad did for us. And so my why is really big, because the legacy that dad left me, I can't change his legacy. That's set in stone. He's right. He's got it. That means I'm on my own legacy. And I have a choice every day. Do I create a legacy, or do I just let the legacy happen? Well, I've got a choice. Well, why not create a legacy? And that's a huge, huge why. And then because of the type of business that we're in, we get testimonials, we get referrals, we get people saying that what we do changed their life. That's the fuel that keeps us going. And that also makes the why even more important. It's, Dad always had that little bit of extra time for the next person. And I can't tell you how many hundreds, if not thousands, of emails and letters that we got about people who talked about how the 1 minute of time they got with Dad was a life-changing minute. And so I literally, when I go out to speak and I'm talking to people and I start getting tired and it's late and I've been doing it for 12 hours in a row, I'll literally have this little thought in the back of my head: what if it's the next one that walks up? What if it's that next one? And because my why is identified, it helps me fuel the moment. Not that we don't have moments where we get frustrated or whatever, but that's a big one.
You reminded me, Tom, one of our ZLC trainers and coaches, Shayna Woods, when she works with her clients, she does these quarterly strategic planning workshops, and I've been a part of those a couple times. One of the things she has her clients do to help them drill down and identify their why is you asked that question a moment ago. Well, why is that important? And so she'll say, well, why are you doing this? And they name, I want to make more money. Well, then she'll come back and go, well, why is making more money important? And then they start, because I want to send my kids to college. Well, why is sending your kids to college important? And so we just keep drilling down. Every time they give an answer, we drill down 5 or 6 times. We drill down to that thing that here's all the reasons why. And all of a sudden you get to the really big why that's driving this emotionally and our belief systems and our value systems. And all of a sudden it becomes huge. So I would encourage you guys, don't just stop at your first why. Look at it like Tom said it a minute ago. And, well, why is that important? And then you get that answer, well, why is that important? And I know when I do that personally, it really helps me clarify and bring focus to what I'm doing, so that it does give me the passion and energy, like Tom, to get up out of bed in the morning and go do things. And so if I'm working out, I've drilled down and I know why I'm doing it. And then part of my preparation is I go ahead and set up my workout stuff and my clothes and everything. So when I roll out of bed in the morning, it's ready to go. I don't have to go find all that stuff. I'm ready to go. Yeah. All right. So Tom, do we have another question there?
We got 3 more questions. Hey, guys, we love these questions.
Yeah.
When these webinars are about you, it makes it even better for us. So we appreciate these. Here's one: how do you prepare for enhancing and developing personal relationships? Let me tell you about a life-changing thing that happened to me. I read a book called The Power of Who by Bob Bodine. Mm-hmm. The Power of Who by Bob Bodine. And bottom line is that book taught me that relationships have to be intentional. As a man, most men, when they hit their 30s and 40s, they only have 1 or 2 friends at all, especially if they're already married. And then later on in life, they don't have any true friends. And so what we've got to do is we've got to nurture and ask for our special relationships. I bought 12 copies of The Power of Who. I sent them to my 12 best friends. Now, be clear, not all the friends are kind of what we call on the same level. 2 or 3 of them are very, very close. Another 4 or 5 were good friends that I would see on a regular basis. Another 4 or 5 were guys that I'd lost touch with, men that I'd lost touch with. But when we talked to each other, it's like we were still together and friends. And I reached out to them and I let them know how much I cared about them, how much I loved them. And then you make a point to follow through and to spend time with them. And once again, that's an intentional thing. In our wheel of life, one of the wheel's spokes is the personal spoke, and that's where our friendship should go. So who do you have in your life right now who is a really good friend? How can you enhance that? How can you take that to the next level? Maybe you're in a deficit point in your life where you don't have any good friends. Then you got to determine where you're going to go to find those good friends. Let's see here. Next question. How much time do you spend on the spiritual devotional time each morning? What does that consist of? I'll give you the advice that was given to me. your spiritual life is a muscle. And you know, only think of this. Think of 5 minutes a day the first week. Just 5 minutes, maybe read a scripture, have a little prayer time, maybe read a one-page devotional, and then let it grow over time. But the main thing is to be consistent. So every day you're gonna invest 5 minutes. And then to me, it's grown into 30, 45 minutes on most days. And it's because I read 3 different devotionals. I read 2 chapters, and I have my 2 chairs time, which is I'm talking to God one-on-one, but I'm doing most of the listening. So that is what I do. But, you know, your time in your spiritual life, that's between you and your Creator. So you've got to, you know, and if you want that relationship, you've got to spend the time to get it. But here's the thing. A lot of times people who are like, oh, no, you know, I can never do that because, you know, these religious people, they go off and they spend hours and hours doing it. Let me tell you something. It's taken me a long time to get into a maturity level. But here's the thing. I think God knows where our heart is. And as long as we're seeking that relationship with Him, He's going to give us what we need when we come. But we've got to come. Let's see. What advice would you have for someone who has talent in an area they want to pursue, but they let perfectionism stop them before starting or even numb them while trying? Well, Dad said this, Darren. You've probably heard this before. Anything worth doing is worth doing poorly until you learn to do it well.
That's right.
Perfectionism is a dangerous thing. It's something that I suffer from. Perfectionism for me leads to procrastination. And procrastination is the most economically broke nation in the world. I think imagination is the nation in the world that has the most possibility. One of my good friends, Michael Mayer, wrote, or he has this example. It's called the life staircase. Think of a staircase going to heaven, and it's got 4 steps in it that keep repeating. L-I-F-E. We learn something. That's the L in life. We learn it, and then we take a step up. That's the I. That's the implement. So we learn something new. We implement it, and guess what? The next step, the F, is for fail. Because even if we implement it very well, it's not 100% right. It's impossible to be perfect. And so we don't look at failure as anything negative. Failure, it just gives us feedback.
Yeah.
And then I think I changed the E. I think he has a different E than me. I use the E called examine. So I learn, I implement, I fail, and then I examine what just happened, which tells me the next thing I need to learn. And then I do the L-I-F-E again. Yeah. So ship it. Seth Godin says we got to ship it. We got to get it out the door. We got to make it happen. It's got to be good enough. We got to be constantly committed to improving it, but we don't delay. We get her done. Another tool you might want to use is mind mapping. Yeah. There we go.
That's good. Hey, Tom, we only got about 7 or 8 minutes left here. So.
But we've got 20 slides left.
Yeah, that's probably true. So let's come back to the questions here in a minute, but let's move on because we don't want to miss out on anything. And then the third step is produce to have. And so I know your dad used to talk about this a lot. Take action, you know. And so let me ask you this: what's the key to taking action?
Do it. I did sales training in Singapore, and I said, "How many of you love making cold calls?" And surprisingly, nobody did. Yeah, and so the key to taking action is we allocate the time to plan and prepare, so we know that we're ready, and then we just do it. So if we know we're going to make 25 cold calls every day, if that's our action that we don't want to do, then the night before we go home, for the next day, we plan ahead and we write those 25 names down. And then we plan ahead and we say from 9 until 10:30, I'm making the calls. And then when 9 o'clock happens, we just start doing it. And so we don't have to feel good or like it necessarily if it's important to our success. Dad said that logic will not change an emotion, but action will. Now, when we start doing it, you know, how many times have you gone to work out and you didn't feel like it, yet 20 minutes after you started working out, you're feeling great. Same thing. We plan and prepare it, then we just do it. Do it, and you will feel motivated to do it.
Yeah, Tom, there on the screen we see a picture of your dad with the pump that he was famous about telling that story, the pump story about. And a part of producing to have is persistence. Why don't you speak to that a little bit? How does persistence impact planning, preparing, and producing?
Almost everyone overestimates how much work they can get done in a short period of time, and they underestimate how much they can accomplish over a long period of time. We talk about persistent consistency, and that's our definition of work ethic.
Yes.
Consistency means you do it every day.
Mm-hmm.
Persistency means you take it up a notch when you go and do it. You do just a little bit extra. And so in that sales example, if my consistency says I'm going to make 25 calls every day, that's fantastic. We've got to have that. Persistency is when we do the 25 calls each day, we add something to it. We do it just a little bit differently. In my own life, I've been doing push-ups now for about 10 weeks, and I've been doing them every day. And every week I add a few more push-ups to it. I got sick on this trip, but I was up over 200 push-ups a day.
Wow.
And even though I've been sick, I'm still doing push-ups every day. I'm just letting my body heal a little bit. So I'm doing fewer push-ups, but that's the thing. I'm consistently doing something that's important to my vision, my goal, and I'm doing it every day. And then as I grow through it, I'm adding a little bit more. And it's actually easier for me to do 200 push-ups today than it was the first week when I was doing 50 push-ups a day.
Wow. You know, one of your dad's favorite quotes, it's my favorite quote, that your dad used to say, he said, discipline yourself to do the things you need to do when you need to do them, and the day will come when you can do what you want to do when you want to do it. And that, to me, that always speaks to me about the power of persistent consistency. Is if I discipline myself, and last night my wife and I did that. We've got a big group of people coming over to the house tonight, and occasionally we would look at a project and go, you just want to do that when we get home from the office tomorrow? And I kept saying, at first I'd go, yeah, and then I'd go, no. And so when we went to bed last night, everything was done. It was such a cool thing to get up this morning and know we didn't have to do all that stuff. So it was just disciplining ourselves to do what we needed to do, so today we could do what we wanted to do.
Absolutely.
And that's a powerful thing. So let's move on. So when we plan, we prepare, we produce, we're persistent, consistently, we can expect to win, right?
Yes.
So what does expecting to win do for us?
Expecting to win changes our confidence when we walk into the room.
That's it.
I mean, confidence is the key here. When I have planned, when I've prepared, when I've gone the extra mile, when I've practiced persistent consistency, when I've built my life on the foundation of character and integrity, and now it's time for me to get on stage and speak, or go in and close the deal, or interview for a new job, step out of my comfort zone, I can expect to win. I've done everything right. And when I take the life staircase, learn, implement, fail, examine, and I realize that, hey, even if I give it my best shot after I planned and prepared and everything, and it doesn't turn out, that's okay, because I'm now in a better position next time. One of the people came in and said, hey, you know, they're a little worried about our election we just had. And some people are real excited. Some people are very, very nervous. That's probably most people. And some people are really disappointed because who they were backing didn't win. But here's the reality. To me, it doesn't matter at all who wins the election. What matters is, how does that change my mindset? And since I don't let circumstances control the way I think, no matter who would have won, I would have said, today's my day. Here's why.
That's right.
Because my mindset is, my economy's between my own two ears, and there's a lot of people today who are resting and taking it easy because they had a victory party, and then there's a lot of other people who are upset and nervous because, uh-oh, what just happened? In both of those camps, I'm out ahead of them, because in my mind, I've got an advantage now because I'm clearly focused, because like Dad said, I focus on what I can do and what I can control, not at all on what I can't do or can't control. I can control my planning, I can control my preparing, and I can control my mindset on winning. All the other circumstances I have no control over. Now I walk into a room expecting to win, and if there's one person in the room who's going to get the business, it's probably going to be me, because everybody else is worried about things they can't control. So there you go. You want the answer to how do we get through this political trauma that's just gone on? It's behind you. Focus on what you can do.
That's right. Tom, we talk a lot about inspiring hope in people, and even moving beyond that to not only inspiring hope and saying there is a way to get there. Like today we're talking about here's a way to get there, but also we talk a lot about, well, let's not just stop there, let's show the way to get there. And one of the ways we do that is through our Building the Best You coaching program, and it's a great honor for me to be a part of that and be involved with that. And so, November is the month of being thankful or grateful for things.
Right.
That's when Thanksgiving happens. And I know you've been on this journey for the last few months where you're writing down something you're grateful for every day. And what were you grateful for today?
Well, actually, I finished up my gratitude.
Oh, okay.
Here's the thing is, about twice a year, I do 66 days of gratitude. And 66 days of gratitude, I do it for a couple of reasons. Number one, 66 days is how long it really takes to have a habit before you miss it. Now, we can create a new habit in 30 days or 27 days, or just depends on what it is. But it doesn't mean that it's ingrained so much that if we stop doing it, we miss it. So that's why I go 66 days. Secondly, is our brains are mainly wired as protecting units, right? They protect us from outside threats. And so that most people have a naturally embedded skeptical outlook. So when we focus on things we're grateful for, our glasses of optimism get put on, our gratitude glasses get on, so we can see it. But even though I'm not writing down my three things, man, I tell you, I was very grateful today for my sleeping at home last night. That was amazing. And I'm grateful today for the American political process, because I've just been to a lot of different countries who are all envious of what we have.
That's right.
Right. Now we get to reap the fruit of our election, and we pray for our leaders, whoever they are. But we have this assurance that if we don't like it, we can change it. So apparently, what's been going on, people wanted to change. But in my own mind, man, it's the best time ever to be in business, to be in the U.S., to be wherever you are in the world, because you have the ability to change your future by what you put into your mind. So I'm grateful for our process, and I'm having a hamburger tonight. And
there you go.
Overseas, I miss my hamburger. So those are three things I'm grateful for.
That's awesome. We're grateful to have Tom back home. And guys, we just want to give you an opportunity too. We've been talking about preparing. We've been talking about planning, producing, dreaming, expecting to win. And there is a process that Zig Ziglar developed to help you do that. And that's a part of our Building the Best You coaching program, which we offer here at Ziglar. And so as a way to say thank you to all of you who are always on the webinars or always on the podcast, who engage with us throughout the year, a part of our community, we're going to give you a one-time, no-risk coaching opportunity during this Thanksgiving season to say thank you. So if you haven't experienced, you can experience our coaching program. And what we do is this. Normally our coaching programs are $500 a session. And so if you sign up today, you can have that for only $99. And so that's something right there to be grateful for too. And so as a part of being thankful for everything that is going on in our life, and be grateful to God for what He's doing for the nation we live in, we want to help you achieve your dreams. Tom, your dad said, and see you at the top, that a part of what we do is to draw out the more capable person that resides within each of us. That's a part of our mission in our coaching program. And so we want to help you plan, prepare, and produce and expect to win. And so we do that today. You can go to this URL right here, and Lou's going to post that in the chat area so you can click on it. It's already there. You can go to this URL, click on that, and you can sign up today for $99, and you will get a coaching session with me, and I'll be glad to spend an hour with you. We usually have 7 or 8 of those open. We'll probably do 10 or 12 this month because we just want to touch as many people as possible. So just make sure you go there and sign up for that. And it's only $99, and there'll be some great value that comes out of that. There's another quote here that I love, Tom. Your dad said, if we don't start at certain, we can't arrive. So again, his point is it's time to take some action. And so I want to encourage all of you, if you want to get there, we want to help you get there. And so it's my passion in life to do that. I've been coaching for over 20 years now, and I still get just as excited about seeing somebody achieve their goal, see their dreams start to come to reality as I always have. And so that's a great value. Zig also said this, the $99 won't affect your standard of living, but the message will change your life. And we want to help you change your life today so that you can be who you want to be, do what you want to do, and have what you want to have. So again, go to that URL there. Lou has it posted there in the chat area. Click on it, and let's schedule a time to get together and talk and help you expect to win too. And Tom, we got a couple more questions there.
Yeah. The coaching session is private. It's one-on-one with David. It's about an hour in length, and 80% of you said you didn't have an accountability partner. I would guess that probably 90% on this call have never had a one-on-one coaching session. The first thing you need to know is it's all about you.
Yes.
So if you have a goal or a dream that you want to achieve and you want to create a game plan in that time, that's something that you can certainly work through with David. Or maybe there's an area of your life that you've just come up roadblock after roadblock and you're trying to figure out how I can get past that roadblock. Then this is a great session for you as well. Obviously, our goal is to help you be, do, and have more. And also, you might be looking at this as just I've always wanted to look at coaching and I don't know how to start. It seems like a huge commitment. We do have ongoing coaching programs that we do want to talk to you about. But this way, you'll know if it's a fit, that if it's the right thing for you. The question I always ask people is, will taking this action that you're considering taking, whatever it is, will this next step that I take, will it take you closer to or further from your big dreams and goals? And if the answer is it'll take me closer to, then ask yourself, is it worth whatever that investment is of time and money to get closer to your big dream and goal? And if that answer is yes, then this session becomes a no-brainer. And as always, we have our guarantee on everything that we do. So this is a no-risk offer. Let's see, one more question up here. The milestone that we pass need to be used for advantage. Is it not true that time and again people cannot move even if they have all the tools? I'm not sure I understand that question completely. What I've found is that when people they won't take the first step for some reason, there's some blocking reason, is I would highly recommend that you do talk to David on that as a coach, because there's something inside of you and it's rooted out of fear.
That's right, always.
It's always rooted in fear of why you won't take that first step. And when you address the fear, then that opens up the ability not only to achieve that next step in your life, but usually everything else. I remember watching 60 Minutes one time as a kid. Now remember, I'm an intellectual engineer, so these statistics just get trapped in my brain and they come out at all these times. And it was crazy because they had people on 60 Minutes who were overcoming incredible fears, spiders, flying on planes, speaking in front of a group, heights, all of these, agoraphobia. They were afraid to go outside. And they had these people, and what they did is they did desensitization coaching, or desensitization, I'm not even saying that right. So anyway, the guy who was afraid of spiders, desensitizing, yeah. So they get the spider or the big tarantula out of the jar, and they put it on the table next to this lady, and she freaks out, and then she calms down. And then they put the spider on her hand, and she freaked out, and then she calmed down. And by the end of it, the spider is walking all over her. And she doesn't necessarily like it, but she's okay with it because now she knows, wait a second, this isn't so bad. Well, they did the same thing for people who were scared of flying and all that. Now, here's the crazy thing. The people who went through this desensitization therapy, over the next 5 years, had unparalleled success.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever goal or dream they had, it's like they all got it. And here's why. Because in their mind, they said, you know what? I have overcome my greatest fear in life. Everything else is a piece of cake. And that's what one-on-one coaching does, is it helps you identify that one thing that's holding you back. And then it unleashes your potential for everything else. What is the cost in Australian dollars? This is US dollars. I'm not sure what the exchange rate is. I think last time I checked, it was about 0.8 to 1. So it's probably 120 Australian dollars. You could Google that and find that out. Let's see. How do you get in touch with David tomorrow? All you got to do is, did you copy down that other 130 Australian dollars? There we go.
If you click on the link, it will automatically alert me, and or you can reach me at dwight, DWRIGHT at Ziglar.com.
dwight@Ziglar.com. I think that's all the questions, brother.
All right.
All right, everyone. It was awesome. Thank you so much for being a part of this. And I hope we answered all the questions that you had. Hey, Jim, thank you, brother. We appreciate that. To all of you, we are now going to hit the end of this session, and we will be sending you a copy of this recording. And it looks like we've got a few who have taken us up on the offer. For the rest of you, make sure you get that in before the slots filled up, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, guys.